Well, thank you so much. You've all given us some great introductions here for us to talk about. I'm going to recognize myself for 5 minutes to begin asking questions because obviously we're here today to talk about reviving international business travel because direct spending on business travel by domestic and international travelers, including expenditures on meetings, events, and conventions, totaled over $334 billion in 2019. Of course, that was pre-pandemic. But as we heard from Ms. Newfang's testimony, business travel to conventions is still down from that peak. We know that international business travel to conventions and trade shows, it's just essential for convention center revenues. It directly supports local economies. Participants stay at hotels, eat at restaurants, they gamble in casinos, maybe they do some deep sea fishing over in Florida, they rent cars, they shop at local businesses. So I want to ask you, Ms. Newfang, that I appreciate that the GBTA has endorsed my Omnibus Travel and Tourism Act. Our Omnibus Travel and Tourism Act includes a provision from Senator Sullivan that's been spoken about to create a new Assistant Secretary of Commerce for just this very purpose, travel and tourism. So we spoke about a few things in each one of your testimony, but could you really talk about how this new position really would boost international travel to conventions, in particular to the United States?
Yes, thank you for that question, Senator. It's very critical that we have at the upper levels of government the focus on travel and what it does for our business economies and other pieces. Business travel is really something we call now travel for work. And travel for work is something that is nonprofit, it's for profit, it's for all of the other dimensions of it, that to have that level of economic impact within our industry not be represented at that upper levels, it's very important for us to have that voice. We see ourselves as a voice for the business traveler, the hundreds of thousands of Americans who get on planes every week, if not every month, to be able to get their jobs done. And while we know that over 70 to 80% of them are very comfortable traveling for business again, they also need to have somebody looking out for them at the highest government levels. We also need to coordinate what the bills are that really make an impact to the travel industry, and having someone considering that on a day-to-day basis would be very important for us from the business travel perspective.
Thank you. I want to build on that because we want to have people come here and spend more money. So we want to increase that international travel spending, right? So yesterday, the Department of Commerce released its National Travel and Tourism Strategy. It includes a 5-year goal for international visitation to the U.S. of 90 million visitors each year. We're expected to spend about $279 billion annually, well above current levels. I'm going to direct this question to you, Ms. Barnes. I know you're remote, so I'm pointing. I don't see you on my screen, but I know you're out there. I know you've discussed a little bit about why international travel spending in the U.S. is still down from before the pandemic, but could you provide any insight to what you've seen so far on the U.S. travel's views on this new federal strategy to increase spending by international visitors, including those coming to the U.S. to participate in conventions?
Sure, we absolutely think that establishing this strategy is critically important, and the fact that we haven't seen a new strategy since 2012 really underscores the point within your legislation that would require a strategy on a more consistent basis. From what we've seen, we think it's absolutely what is needed to move the industry forward. But now the hard work begins, and so it's really going to be time to roll up our sleeves and make sure that we execute, that the government is able to execute on the strategy. We seek to be a partner with you through that work. But just a little bit about how important having a strategy, and in particular on this international piece, it is that in 2019, 79 million international visitors came from 40 million of those were from overseas, the remainder from Canada and Mexico. And when international travelers come here, it's an export, and they spend approximately $3,700 when they visited the U.S. and stayed on average 17 nights. So those international visitors, when they come here, are really critical, and that's why it's so important that target is part of this national travel and tourism strategy.
Thank you. I'm going to recognize Senator Scott, Ranking Member Scott, for his opening questions.
I'm going to defer mine to Senator Blunt, and I'll do